sweet viewers, time then. We are going to get into the draft for Wildfire versus SMG game number 1. Now, we do see Symbiote gets the first ban, first pick in this match, game number 1. They decide to ban out Uther. Wildfire responds with that Tassadar. Both of these very high priority heroes. Not surprising to see them on the bans. Symbiote actually securing the Tychus first pick. So just what I would expect to see from them, snagging up that Tychus. They think he is so strong, and I think we have just seen time and time again how powerful he can be. Wildfire, a little unconventional, I would say, actually, with their early picks here. Diablo has not been an all-star in the ECS to a lot of people's surprise. And they're taking him in their first round of 2 picks. Wildfire, hope they have a plan for that. Now Symbiote following up with the Falstad Malfurion. We haven't seen any Malfurion yet today. We haven't seen much of him, actually, in the last week. People seem to be valuing Brightwing and Rhaegar over him, so interesting to see Symbiote take Malfurion there so early in the draft. Followed up with the Zagara.
They put a lot of hype into Healing Ward.
Yeah?
And out of the options they have left, with just like a solo healer, Malfurion is really the only one I can see them going with. For the
You don't think they could have taken the Rhaegar there?
Was Rhaegar picked before they took Malfurion?
Rhaegar actually got picked after.
Oh.
That's the thing that I think is so confusing, because most teams value Rhaegar way above Malfurion, right?
Especially with the level 1 Healing Ward, yeah.
Yeah.
Especially since they already have the Tychus. Huh, that's an interesting choice.
Definitely.
We'll have to see what magic they can pull in. I mean, I'm not going to start doubting SMG now. They know they have a plan. Yeah.
This is true. Now, Wildfire does round out their roster with Arthas, Rhaegar, and Witch Doctor. So maybe the Diablo pick had something to do with wanting to take Witch Doctor later. We do see Symbiote has the Zagara and the Stitches, so there are actually quite a few ways to interrupt the Witch Doctor, but not a whole lot of pressure he's going to be under. He's going to be able to wait by this time for that ultimate unless he gets Stitches hooked, so we're going to have to see how this works out. It didn't work out so well for Clairvoyant when they had the Witch Doctor into the Stitches last game. Rip Witch Doctor's win ratio, but I mean, that Stitch is so brutal. So brutal to play against. You have to be on your toes all the time. You ready to get in this game, Zoya?
I am so ready, man. Let's get it going.
Alright, I am ready as well. I am in game, 5 seconds in, normal speed, ready to go in 3, 2, 1. Boom, we're going to get it going. Turn sound back on, guys, for you. Iacona on that Rhaegar, Bims on the Witch Doctor, Poom rocking the Master Skin Diablo, Wargreymon, Master Skin Vala, Pickles rounding out the roster on that Arthas.
And for Team Symbiote Gaming, we have Soldier on Tychus, Dreadnought on the Stitches, KO on Falstad, Mad Timmy on Malfurion, and Arthalon on the Zagara. Now, interesting to note, both teams are going bot lane. We're not seeing Wildfire immediately go to the lane. Their Golem is pushing. Nope, it's just they're going bottom to go to the Watchtower.
Yeah, both teams just rushing to their Watchtower. Those
Silly
Watchtowers,
Zoya.
Silly Zoya trying to talk about things that are clearly not going to be true 13 seconds later. Now, both Watchtowers on this map, very safe to take at that level 1. You're going to be able to get there no matter what before your enemy, so there's no reason not to run there and just take it for free, basically, unless you're trying to do some cheeky invade stuff. Now, we do see the 4-man on bottom side for Symbiote. This is what they like to do on the mines. Put pressure on that Zagara, so deadly, and they're trying to camp this bottom side of the map. This is going to be an awkward place, but Dreadnought doesn't get the hook on Witch Doctor. He's going to be able to walk away. They knew something was up. And now we see 2 people in the top side for Wildfire and a 4-man pressure push on the bottom lane. Zoya, I don't know if you know this, but Malfurion Zagara, hidden OP. That lane pushes so hard, and Malfurion just leaves so much mana on the Zagara.
Yeah, it just allows Arthalon to spam all of his spells. Those of you that know, Malfurion's trait is Innervate, allowing him to give a buff every 30 seconds that restores mana to an ally, and just allowing him to spam that on Arthalon is going to be so much push here. I wonder if that's why they decided to go the 3-2 split, just so they can put as much defense or against the Arthalon push. Because if they only had one person down bottom against this lane, that would not go well.
Absolutely. That tower would have already been down if there was only one person defending, so I'm actually a very good call by Wildfire to make a defensive lane and give up on trying to pressure that top side where their golem is. Now, Symbiote, aggressive push into the Watchtower, nets it for free. No fighting even occurred there. just totally okay for Wildfire to give that up and take it back immediately after. Now, Symbiote taking their Siege Giants. Wildfire not anywhere in position to do their own. The mines will be opening soon, so we're going to see if that Siege Giant timing is just right, or whether maybe they'll be there a little too late, a little too early. Let's see. Mines are open right now. Wildfire gets all 5 people in immediately in that bottom side. They are not doing the trap at the entrance, though. They are deciding to split up and go get skulls as fast as possible.
Why do you think they decided to 5-man rush bottom and not top?
I don't know. I mean, it's just whatever side most people is closer to, probably. It doesn't matter that much which side you enter on. Now, Poom and Pickles trying to just keep that team out of the fight, but a huge pull by Stitches on Poom into a Roots means that Symbiote gets that first blood, gets that first pick. Dreadnought on the front line does use his Eat ability to not die immediately and ends up taking Arthas with him, netting Symbiote a 2-for-1. Oh, Wargreymon solo, and he doesn't vault towards the mine exit, so he's not going to be able to get out. Now Symbiote has taken control of this topside mine exit. Will Wildfire be able to escape, or Symbiote just gives up the chase?
It looks like both teams are just kind of agree that they're all too low in health and mana to want to really commit to a fight unless they accidentally stumble upon each other. So both teams trying to get as many skulls as possible. Skull count right now is 38-10 in favor of Wildfire.
Oh, in favor of Wildfire. Wow.
Yes.
So we see that early aggression into the mines really paying off for them. They've now got a very secure skull lead. I don't know if they're going to be able to secure this Grave Golem, though. This seems really aggressive. A lot of the Symbiote members went out, tapped that Moonwell before walking back into the mines here. And I don't know if they're going to be able to take a fight. Poom engages on Dreadnought. That is not necessarily who you want to focus. He's taking a lot of damage. Poom also taking a lot of damage. Pickles trying to zone the backline off of his backline, but he is taking so much damage from that Grave Golem. Wargreymon gets hooked in. Soldier going to finish off that Arthas. That's going to be a clean 2-for-0 in favor of Symbiote, netting them that Grave Golem in the mines.
A lot of mistakes in that fight from Wildfire. First of all, they focus fired the Stitches way too long. It was okay to start on him just because he was the only one there, but they kept attacking him. And then they all stood underneath the Golem while they were fighting. The moment that SMG showed up, they should have backed off to drop aggro on the Golem. You cannot fight with that thing stunning and rooting you. We've had this discussion before, and it was just really bad fight for Wildfire.
Definitely. And then we see Iacona getting picked off in these mines. A rough place to be. You're in the mines. You just lost the fight. You have to find a way to get out somehow. Symbiote just getting that pick off, using the fall stat fly even to do so. Now they have a 5-kill-to-1 advantage, Symbiote. They're 1 level up. They've got position advantage on this night camp. They're probably going to be able to finish it before Wildfire can respawn.
Yeah.
Wildfire just in a really rough spot here.
They do have the skull advantage, though, 60-40.
Okay, so
which isn't the end of the world for them. Yeah.
Correct. You know, this early in the game, that 20 skull difference is just not enough to be a huge deciding factor in the strength of these golems. We're going to see both teams go to the lane with their golem in it. I want to see if Wildfire commits to pushing with this. They're just dealing with the night camp right now. And we see Symbiote 100% all in, pushing this fort down before the Grave Golem even gets there. Just the power of that Zagara push, so strong. And now we see both teams committed with their golem push. I hope we see a base race. Let's go all the way. Symbiote taking down this fort so fast. Oh my gosh, that fort is already done. Meanwhile, Wildfire just finished the gate.
That Tyke Zagara is just so much push. They have so much sustained damage, so they can really push that far. And it doesn't look like Wildfire is actually going to go all the way. They're actually going to go back before even confirming the fort. They really don't want to lose their inner keep. Is the Golem going to be enough to secure the top fort for them?
The Golem looks like it'll be enough. It does have pretty big crystals on it, so I imagine it can use those to cut down that fort on its own. But Wildfire didn't back in time to save the front wall of their keep, and that's rough because now they're trying to fight through a Golem, and Symbiote can just take this fight willy-nilly. Now, Pickle's getting super low, gets the root targeted on him, but he manages to walk out. Symbiote doesn't have the focus fire, but Arthalon gets pulled in by the Diablo overpower Shadow Charge. A huge positioning mistake by Arthalon there. A free kill given over to Wildfire, and that is so good for them. Now, will they be able to catch up and turn this into anything else? I don't know if they have the catch. Arthas is mounted up. They've got the slow on Dreadnought. Will it be enough? Nice zombie wall. Meanwhile, Dreadnought trying to turn on them. Knows he's going to die. Trying to get some damage off, but it is just not enough. And that is a 2-for-0. Oh my god, run and gun. Disjointing that Shadow Charge in the bottom lane. So clean by Soldier.
Poom has always been a tank that can just make plays like that, grabbing Arthalon like that and slamming into it. And that kill on Arthalon, even if Arthalon hadn't been killed, the push was basically over. But that kill on Arthalon was able to set up for a 2-for-0. So really good job from Poom for securing that kill.
Yeah, that gets them right back in the game. They're now even level again. They're even on forts, even though their keep has taken a lot more pressure than Symbiote's keep. It's not an insurmountable edge by any means, which is sometimes the case after this first golem on the mines. This map, very one-sided after that first golem a lot of times. Good to see two teams coming out of it mostly even. Going to be a race to that level 10. It's going to be so important for that second mine phase. If only one team is level 10, it's just done. And now we see Symbiote gets that level 10, putting pressure on the top side with these Siege Giants.
Gotta love Master Skin Stitches. The hook looks so cool on them. Just look at the game, guys. For 2 seconds, just stare at the game. Look how pretty it is.
Just look at the Pimp Cane. Wow. We see a 0 target maw by Arthlon there. A little bit of a mistiming on that. Now, Team Wildfire just still doesn't have ultimates yet. They have to be so careful how they take this. Even with one ultimate down on that Zagara, there's still 4 ultimates lower than their enemy team. They're just trying to get that level 10. But we see the hook come in. Pickles gets gorged. Now this is the fight or flight decision. They do get level 10. They're going to make the decision to go in. The Apocalypse comes down. Pickles gets saved by that Ancestral. And a huge shotgun comes in across too, but it's not enough to kill either of those frontline tanks. Meanwhile, the Witch Doctor ult comes out and they focus fire Malfurion. He gets blown up instantly by that focus fire of Wildfire.
Yeah, okay, so he did Twilight Dream. Okay, so this is something that I saw SMG kind of play with earlier last week, and it's really cool. They feel that healing with regrowth plus other talents is enough healing on Malfurion to where you can finally start going Twilight Dream for a while. When, Wombo became such a prominent thing, everyone was going Tranquility, but now we're finally seeing Twilight Dream back in play again. And
absolutely.
It's the only silence in game at this point. It's a huge, huge heroic.
Yeah, Twilight Dream, I mean, it is so powerful. It lands on multiple targets, and we see Pickles getting hooked again. That is not the ideal hook target, but they do manage to focus him so low, he just barely walks away. That is a huge health advantage towards Symbiote, though, and now the Wildfire team cannot fight. They need to wait for that Arthas to get healed up. He's going to go try and find a Moonwell maybe, or back, but they just cannot fight. They're just pushing this bottom lane now, and that leaves Symbiote 100% skull control here, and we are going to see them take a small skull lead. By the time they're done with the mines, it's going to be a 56-44. That's not exactly where you want to be. Ooh, Symbiote making some cheeky plays. Are they going to exit this mines right here?
Nope. They threw down the Clairvoyance there at the bottom.
Oh, wow.
Wildfire
That was
time.
such a good Clairvoyance by Wildfire. And now Wildfire, they've had time to heal Arthas back up, and they get to re-engage in the mines. They might be able to actually fight for this. Symbiote trying to set up the pick. They're getting Stitches in position. He wants to go for a hook. They do have sighting on them now.
Everything but APOC is up. Every heroic is up but Apocalypse. They have 15 seconds to wait before Poom has that heroic.
Oh man. Symbiote, are they going to make something happen? They're kind of tagging this golem a bit to get it to show up on the minimap. Soldier out of position, but doesn't get flipped after the Shadow Charge. Now Dreadnought on the front line, exactly where he wants to be. Oh, the Maw Shock and Awe combo entirely whiffs. Meanwhile, Soldier on the flank does interrupt that backline damage. But we see Arthas gets picked off after coming out of that Maw. So despite some miscommunication on that ultimates by the Zagara and Falstad.
And the Malfurion. Mad Timmy went for the Twilight Dream when they're in Maw, and it didn't look like it silenced anything.
So despite all of that not comboing, they still managed to get the pick. That's really impressive.
Really good kill there from SMG. They are up 6 kills, 2-4, levels 12-12 with Wildfire just now hitting 12. Wildfire did secure the Knights in mid lane. The skull count for these golems are 56 in favor of SMG to 44 of Wildfire. Really not that big of a difference.
Absolutely not. And the advantage here only goes...
Twilight Dream silenced Arthas, okay.
Okay, so Twilight Dream silenced Arthas, prevent him from self-healing, and that's what allowed him to go down, get focus fired, most likely.
Yeah.
Now, we do see that Grave Golem on the top side for Wildfire is just getting left to its own devices, and the Grave Golem will do barely any damage up there since he's not assisted. Now, Symbiote has that front wall down already on the bottom keep, meaning that their Golem is under a lot less DPS from turrets, a lot less creep buildup, so it's going to be easier for that Golem to tank out the keep. We do see a root going down on Poom, but it doesn't really matter. They're just going to put some harass on him. Symbiote going to try to force this keep down with this Grave Golem.
They might be able to get it. The mule's actually bugging out. It stopped healing the keep. and went straight over to the tower instead. Might have been able to keep it alive a few more seconds, but Twilight Gem does go down. Apocalypse doesn't really hit anything. They're going for a huge chase. There is the heal from Rhaegar. Arthlon does end up falling. It is now a 4 vs 5. Witch Doctor in a great position, avoiding everything, but not enough damage was done. Boom, getting so low in HP. Will he end up falling? No, he does end up surviving that healing. We're just giving him enough life to stay alive. The Grave Golem is attacking the palace right now, but it will fall before it does anything damage, and same thing for theirs.
We see a bit of a premature Odin, I would say there, or maybe even a late Odin, but he's not going to be able to force a team fight with that, and they're not even in position. They're down a man. Wildfire not going to be able to make anything happen there, even though the Odin can't mount up, probably.
I think maybe
on the
that's
chase.
why they use the Odin, to prevent chase. It'd be really hard to engage onto an Odin. Maybe.
Yeah, potentially.
I mean, that's the only, like, outside of a misclick, I don't know why else he would have used that.
Maybe, I think he thought they were going to go for the core. They had the Grave Golem there, but it only had 10%, 15% life left. It wasn't going to be enough to all in the core, especially with their primary damage on that Zagara down. And this game, really, those sieges have been the story of Arthlon getting picked off, focus fired first, not in the right position where you want to be with Zagara, and dying early like that, being under that much pressure makes it so hard to get those game-changing mods that you're going to need to see. Now, they do have a 2-level lead just from their structure advantage. They're up a fort and a keep against Wildfire, leading to a pretty big experience deficit for them. Now it's about to be the third mine phase. Let's see how these teams set up.
Well, you already see all of SMG sitting there at the bottom. Zagar heading down now. If they do go in, as in Wildfire, they're going to be in a really scary situation. Dreadnought's going to be able to land that hook. No Clairvoyance has gone down to Shan. It looks like they're going to be going into the top mine.
Yeah, so Arthlon actually ran up to the top side of the mines and put a creep tumor down, and that's going to be so important in spotting Wildfire as soon as they enter there. And now we see Symbiote just camping at the other side of the mine entrances. Oh man, this is so awkward for Wildfire. So much patience from Symbiote.
Well, not even that though. Like, look at there's nothing they can do. All Merc camps are down for another minute.
Wildfire does make it into the mines past that worst choke point, but Pickle's way out in front. The Apocalypse comes down, only hits Zagara. Will it be enough? Zagara stunned out, but Arthlon not going to go down from that Arthas damage alone. Meanwhile, on the front line, both of those tanks brawling each other out. Arthas goes down too far deep in the back line. Huge Shockanaut coming across. Rhaegar and Vala sniping those two out. They go down. Meanwhile, Poom chasing Stitches. Just don't want to let him get skulls for free.
Bims.
Witch Doctor, run. Run, Witch Doctor. Oh, Soldier does not manage to hit him with that Q, but there's just no way he's going to be able to back there. The Stitches coming around from the flank secures that kill, and this is going to be a very one-sided mines for Symbiote.
Yeah. 0 skulls have been retrieved by Wildfire, which means with 4 members down, only Diablo up, they are not going to get any. This is going to be a 100 skull golem spawning at their palace. I mean, with level 16 versus level 14 advantage, Wildfire needs a super duper gigantic miracle to hold.
Yeah, unless Symbiote literally attacks moves into the fountain over and over, I don't see how Wildfire can win this game. Wildfire is in position. It looks like they're considering racing, but Symbiote is already on the ball here. They're in defensive position. They know the only way Wildfire can probably win this game is a base race, so they've moved up to this top side, got in position, cleared the wave. They're not going to let them base race them, and now they're going to move towards that core where they will have a 100 skull Grave Golem ally. I don't think Wildfire can hold Zoya.
Yeah, it's gonna be rough. I mean, the 100 skull golem, I wish we could still see the health of it when you target it, because the health number would be absurd. You got 4 guys in the palace wailing on it, and it's barely been tickled at all. Here comes all of SMG from the bottom. They have all the heroics up. They have that level 16 advantage. Wildfire, will you be able to hold?
It is going to be a tough sell. We do see them all coming in. The hook misses, but the stun lands on Poom. He's going to be out of the fight for a little bit. Meanwhile, Pickle's trying to dive onto Tychus Zagara, but he is getting focus fire, and now the Ancestral Healing has to come out on him. Wargreymon on that strafe, but only hitting Kaio. That is not the right amount of targets that you'd like to see for a strafe. SMG taking a lot of damage here, but the core is the real story. They are willing to lose the fight in exchange for taking down the core, and that is exactly what happens. They don't even care how much damage they took. They just let the Grave Golem kill the core. They pulled the DPS out away from the Grave Golem so they couldn't focus fire it down, and that core just goes down, and Symbiote takes another convincing victory against a team on the Haunted Mines. It seems to be the story of the ECS. Symbiote gets the mines, and they win the game very convincingly.
Yeah, not as convincingly as previous weeks. Usually when we see SMG, they win with the first golem and within 10 minutes. But Yeah, they just it's just something that you can note, like when that final team fight happened in the mines. They knew that there were no camps up for another minute and a half when they first
Yeah,
went in, almost 2 minutes actually. There was no chance of them getting pushed or backdoored, so they just sat and wait. They used the Zagara creep to keep control of the map, the vision to see where people would pop in, and they just waited. They most teams would be like, "Oh, we're wasting time. We've been here 20 seconds." No, they waited there for almost 40 seconds at least, and then they were able to
just
win a team
secured a
fight.
team fight. Yeah, as soon as Wildfire goes in, they're all in that choke position. It's so hard to fight out of that confined space, and Symbiote didn't even camp them right at the entrance. They did it a little ways back, but a convincing team fight victory again, and Symbiote just putting on the hurt. Wildfire now down 0-1 in this best of 3 match. Can they win game 2? Can they take it to a game 3, guys? We're going to check that out after this quick commercial break. Make sure you stick around. Hey guys, welcome back. Dunk Train here with my co-host Zoya, bringing you the ESV Championship Series Season 1 Playoffs Round of 4, Match number 2, Game number 2. Oh man, that is a mouthful, guys. That is a mouthful of awesome Heroes of the Storm content. Hope you guys are liking it. I'm loving doing the casting for the ECS. If you guys are enjoying watching, make sure you follow us and support ESV by following on Twitter at ESVTV, Facebook.com/ESVTV, YouTube.com/ESVTV Gaming, guys. The more you support ESV TV, the more you support the ECS, can keep seeing awesome Heroes gameplay, build the competitive scene from the ground up, and just have a great time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely.
I love that voice.
That exactly. That was exactly what I was thinking, Zoya. You just put it into sound in a magic way that I would never have done in a million years. But
you know what? I'm magical like that, so.
Well, that's great. And you know who needs some magic right now? Wildfire, because they are down a game in this series against the monstrous SMG. I don't know if they can pull it out, man. I mean, that game was so convincing by SMG again. Like you said, not as one-sided as we have seen from Symbiote, but still.
You can always, even in the tougher moments, you can always pull it out. It just takes willpower.
Okay, well, I'm gonna let that go. I'm just gonna. That happened, and we're gonna move into the draft phase now.
The draft phase.
The draft phase, guys.
The draft phase.
The draft phase. Here we are.
Another Tassadar Uther ban, which, again, with
Yeah.
the nerf to several supports, this is just something we're going to see more and more. Especially with SMG's playstyle.
I mean, yeah, just Tassadar's so good, even in the damage role, and he's just too good. You can't even kill him because he void shifts and walks away. It's so frustrating. Uther also known for his walking away abilities. Both of those heroes getting banned out.
Uther always walks away.
Always walks away, guys. We see Wildfire snapping up that first pick Tychus. We saw how effective that was last game. It worked wonders for Symbiote. Wildfire gets their hands on it this game. Both of those teams actually feeling like they're okay banning out those supports in order, and they have to give up Tychus to do that to the first pick. Interesting to see both sides okay with that trade, either as first pick or second pick. Very interesting development, because before you would almost never see a team willing to give up Tychus. Meta shifting, very interesting. Now, Symbiote on their first round where they get 2 picks, they take Falstad and Malfurion. Again, valuing Malfurion incredibly highly.
You know, they think the healing on him is enough as for their playstyle with the healing orb, and Twilight Dream. It's the only silence in the game. At level 20, it's a 4-second silence. 4 seconds in a MOBA where you can't use any abilities is
It's like
huge.
10,000 years.
It's
It's actually longer than Illidan was imprisoned, I'm pretty sure. For that, like, you get silenced by Malfurion, and you might as well go AFK and get a cup of coffee because you're just silenced until you're dead.
Yeah.
It's so painful if he gets those big silences for the team. Now, Wildfire picking their roster, they get that Diablo again, so we see them rounded out. They have Tychus, Vala, Diablo. A lot of range damage there, good frontliner in the form of Diablo. They follow up with Brightwing Rhaegar. Now, this is the first time we've seen a double support composition in the playoffs, or even recently in the ECS. We just have not seen very much double healer. What do you think about this lineup from Wildfire?
It's interesting. I don't like it. It's been a long time. Like, I mean, you remember the last time the meta was double support focused. It's been
It's been a long
time. I don't necessarily like it. It's because those are both kind of true supports as well. You know, sometimes you'll see like the double support, but one of them's Tassadar and he's not really a support.
That doesn't even count. Doesn't even count.
But,
I mean, this is pure healer-focused double support.
And when Bloodlust, the Bloodlust only really being super impactful on the Tychus. I mean, Bloodlust it doesn't really it doesn't change Vala that much.
It's good on her, but it's not like breathtaking. And Diablo doesn't even get that much benefit from it. I just don't see how this Wildfire team is going to cut through.
I don't like it either.
I don't see how this Wildfire team cuts through the Arthas Tyrael frontline of Symbiote. I mean, it's hard enough to kill Arthas alone with 3 ranged DPS, let alone killing Arthas Tyrael on the front line with 2 ranged DPS and 2 supports. It's just going to be so difficult. Unless Wildfire gets way ahead, they will not have the damage to cut through this front line. Even though I think Symbiote drafting Raynor, I feel like that's a bit of a mistake. I have not been impressed by any Raynor play so far in the ECS or my own experience.
I love Raynor right now. I think he is really good. I love his place right now.
We've seen him in the European scene a lot more than the North American scene, for sure.
That's true. With recent changes to him, plus just the game in general, I think he's much better. Like once he's level 16, and you pair him with an Arthas or someone that can proc his Executioner, his damage is... he might have the hardest single target damage of any range carry. But you just have to get to 16. You know, his early game is not...
That is the tough part. Now, that was the draft. Let's get into this game. Are you ready?
Oh, I'm ready.
Zoya.
I'm ready. 5 seconds
Game
normalized.
number 2. Oh, wow. Well, you may or may not be ahead of me, sir. 5 seconds normal speed. Game 2 of match number 2 in the round of 4 playoffs of the ECS Season 1. Will Wildfire risk it for the biscuit, make it to that Game 3, or will Symbiote snuff out the small candle that is all of Wildfire's light at the moment, guys? We're about to find out in 3, 2, 1. Let's go. We've got Symbiote on this blue team, Dreadnought in front on the Tyrael, Soldier on Arthas, KO on the Falstad. Keep calling him Kaio. I am so sorry. It is KO, guys.
It's his fault for picking a silly name. Don't worry.
It is his fault for picking a silly spelled name. Anyway, guys, Mad Timmy on the Malfurion, Arthalon on Raynor, rounding out that composition.
And for Team Wildfire, we have Iacona on the Rhaegar, Poom on the Dibbles, Pickles playing that Brightwing, Bims on the Tychus, and rounding out the team, we have Wargreymon on Vala.
That Master Skin Cyberwolf Vala, though, I like that a lot. A little bit of a clash on the orange on white, but still looking good. Now, we have 3 men in the bottom lane for the Symbiote team, positioning really aggressive in these bushes. Are they going to get the pick on Wargreymon? This is going to be awesome. I can't wait to see.
This is a brutal comp to get ganked by. You have the roots from Malfurion, you have the Arthas slow, and then you have the grenade from Arthalon. That, if Wargreymon is not on his toes...
Arthalon is Raynor. Arthalon's Raynor, not Tychus.
Oh. Okay, well, I have the graphic bug right now where they're all face down on the mud, so...
Oh, well, that seems reasonable. They're both space soldiers. I mean, come on, Wargreymon. Oh my god, he accidentally gets so close to that brush. He thought he was being safe on that far bottom side, but he just... Oh, he walks into practically melee range of the Arthas without scouting the brush. That is going to cost him his life and first blood and cost him half a wave of XP. That is a painful way to start the game for Wildfire.
Yep, one quick kill going in favor of SMG, a well-executed gank. Whenever there's an Arthas alone, you gotta be careful about those early ganks. There's no reason to be that far up there.
Yeah. Wildfire trying to get the counter kill in the mid lane, initiating on Dreadnought on the Tyrael, but Rhaegar Diablo just do not have the damage to even hurt Tyrael. And when that Arthas swings up, Rhaegar a little overextended after committing to that fight and just gets taken down. And we see the power of the early game on Arthas and Tyrael is just so devastating here. And this is not the way Wildfire wanted to start their game. They need to get ahead so they don't get punished for having that damage-light composition. How are they going to cut through these tanks if they fall behind here?
Yeah, it's... Even with the changes to Tyrael, it's hard to kill Tyrael in the game. He's just so tanky. You got to be very careful about that. We do see SMG immediately going for some of the plants. You know, while we have a downtime moment, actually we do have a fight. Bottom lane, we do have Arthalon chasing Wargreymon, Mad Timmy being flanked by Pickles and Iacona, but should be able to get away. But anyways, what are your thoughts on the current state of this map after all the changes? I think it's much better than before. I don't think it's perfect.
Oh, yeah. I think the map is so much healthier than before. So, yeah, the plant terror feels so much more relevant early. Not being able to bank seeds prevents those really awful late-game stalemates where you just plant terror back and forth and nobody can kill each other because both teams have plant terror. The game got so much healthier on this map with those changes. I just like it so much better. And I think we have seen the iterations on the maps has done nothing but make them better.
Oh, Arthalon getting pretty low, but he does have that passive that brings him back up. A lot of damage coming out there from Iacona and Wargreymon, catching him a little bit off guard.
Yeah, really, really good trade taken for them in that lane. Now, they do have a huge wave pushing into the tower here, and that means that Mad Timmy and Arthalon can actually walk into that brush and zone them from about a 2/3 of a wave of experience there. That's really painful. When your wave is pushed up that far, it's so dangerous to go and fight it. Meanwhile, Iacona and Wargreymon, they knew they were getting zoned from XP, pull back to do the Siege Giants. Excellent call there to go for the objective when you know you can't afford to be far enough forward in lane to get that experience. I really like that call by them.
Yeah, really utilizing their time as efficient as possible. Everyone's still soaking experience. We do have Dreadnought pushing mid as hard as possible. Bim's kind of in an awkward spot right now. If Soldier were to go in there, he might not have gotten away. Pickles coming up, though, should be able to secure that safety. And Pickles immediately polymorphing Soldier, not letting him do any lockdown. KO coming forward for a little bit of poke, but not going to be able to secure a kill anytime soon. Right now, it's just kind of farm mode, even with the new changes.
Pickles getting hit by a root on Arthas, just steps up too greedy, feels more safe than he is with Bims right across that wall. And he just forgot. That's just the greed, and he's on squishy Brightwing. He has squishy Tychus with him. Neither of them can really fight an Arthas in the early game, especially with that Envenom. There's just no way they can match that damage and tankiness, and we see them taking another kill. Now Symbiote leads 3 kills, 2-0. There are Siege Giants on the bottom side for Wildfire, but they're getting cleaned up by Symbiote now. Symbiote taking their own Siege Giants on the top side, so we're about to see pretty much a mirrored game state, except Symbiote a good deal ahead in both experience and kills.
Yeah, it's just a nice position for them to be in already. We'll have to see how far they can carry it. Both teams doing a good job of soaking those experience. We haven't really seen any like extra roaming from anybody. You know, you have the Arthas gang squad roaming around, and that's about it. You know, everyone's sticking to their lanes pretty well. We do see the first night camp being taken as well.
Yeah, I like that. The double healer means that you can take this night camp and lose no health the entire time you do that. I like that a lot. Oh, meanwhile, missed a kill on the bottom side where Pickles teleported in onto Poom but wasn't in time to save his Demon Hunter. Now, Poom getting so body blocked by Dreadnought there, not able to walk through that choke. He gets the overpower on Tyrael, but it's not in time. He's already been rooted by Arthas and gets Focus Fire down. That is a 2 for 0 in favor of Symbiote in the jungle. That's going to make them so close to level 10 here, Zoya. They secure the Garden Terror. And that is going to be a rough spot to be in.
Agreed. They do end up taking the Plant Terror, putting up to 90 seeds already, which is 10 away from getting a thing. For those of you who aren't familiar with the new changes to the map, whenever you hit 100 seeds, the plant automatically spawns. You're not forced into getting into it, but the plant spawns, like Dunk said earlier. You can't just pull a bunch of seeds. You can't be sitting at 200 and do back-to-back.
Yeah, so we do see a little bit of a skirmish happening in this mid lane. Nobody able to fully commit. Symbiote has level 10 now. They want to find a fight, but they were 4v5, so they have to wait for that false start to come back from clearing topside knights. And as soon as he gets here, we should expect to see Symbiote make something happen with their level 10 to level 8 advantage.
Wow.
This is a huge lead. They're at that heroic ability breakpoint. There's no possible way that Wildfire can contest these camps, and it's going to be interesting to see what Symbiote does immediately after this while they still have that edge.
What are your thoughts on the rune tap we've seen multiple games from Soldier right now? For a while we almost never saw it. You know, once the initial rework happened.
I think rune tap is broken.
Yeah.
I honestly, if every third attack healing for 6% of your health on a big tank like that, every hit healing for you for 2% of your health functionally is just an absurd amount of sustain for somebody with such a big health pool. I mean, he has 3,000 health right now.
And
so
multiple ways to heal too, with the Death Claw as well as the Hook.
Yeah, that means every 3 attacks he's getting a 200 health heal. That mitigates more than 280 carry auto attacks. It is so difficult to kill an Arthas anytime you have low damage, and the rune tap even punishes the low damage composition further. The more tanky you get, the more health regeneration you have, the more your low damage is punished. And here we see the fight is happening. We do see an engage onto Pickles. The shotgun comes across with Material Judgment, but it is not enough. The Bloodlust gets popped. Bims is starting to stutter step kite. Mad Timmy overextended to try and get that Malfurion ult, but it's not enough. Meanwhile, Poom goes down on that Diablo. Bims on the front line with the Odin. He's not afraid. He does get that Odin captured, but will it be enough? Symbiote chasing into this back line. They do manage to get a kill onto Rhaegar. KO gets aggressive now, trying to focus more Grimman, but misses the hammer. It is not going to be enough damage.
Big shock and awe at the start of that fight from KO, doing a lot of damage to the front line, making it almost an immediate kill there for them. Unfortunately, they did SMG did lose Mad Timmy in that fight, but that's kind of one of the downsides for going the Twilight Dream build, especially when you're only running the one support. You have to get you have to get really deep into that fight to be able to get that heroic off.
Absolutely.
It's kind of like turns into an Uther situation. Uthers tend to die in the team fights because they're in the middle of the fight trying to get that Divine Storm off.
Yeah, absolutely. And Malfurion doesn't have the benefit of having the Ghost Form or the extra tanky health stats to help him soak some of that damage. And we saw the Malfurion get stunned there before he could have an impact. So his Twilight Dream didn't even get to be cast, or that fight would have been so one-sided. But because he got stunned up by that Apocalypse, couldn't get that off, ends up dying. And that's the reason the fight was so close, despite this Wildfire team being way behind. And now Symbiote 13 to level 11. And Symbiote crushing down onto this mid lane. They see Wildfire all in the bottom lane. They're going to try to punish them by getting a lot of structure damage here. Now Falstead's still in the bottom, going to have to fly up if his team looks to meet and fight. Instead, they just disengage. They're getting in position to do these Siege Giants instantly, but Wildfire looks like they know what's up.
I really like that decision to leave KO in the bottom to defend, just so he can fly up and push and you know, help push mid if that happens to be the case.
Yeah.
Really good hero placement. We do have the engagement going down though. Iocona does come forward, big root, landing on Wargamon. The shotgun out does not only hits Iocona, does not get Wargamon. The strafe does go down. He hits back off. Silence does end up hitting Poom. Poom is going to fall, not having the ability to dash out of there. And it won for nothing. Looks like 4 heroics. Actually, all 5 heroics were used by SMG in that engagement.
Yeah, so all 5 heroics down here for at least 50 seconds gives Wildfire an opportunity to engage, but they should wait until the Diablo is back to frontline. Here he comes to use those souls to revive, and now we see that Bloodlust coming out. That backline doing so much damage for Wildfire, but the Diablo, without those souls to make him tanky, does not have the health pool to survive on that front line. Now Wildfire is getting to engage with that Odin after those CCs are up, and Symbiote looks like they're going to have a difficult time disengaging here. The dismounts by Odin are so brutal, but they're having a hard time getting any further CC onto those, and it looks like they're just going to have to settle for taking the plant.
Yep, and that will push them over 100. Both teams are going to have their first plant terror. We'll see who gets into each of them. You know, if you're either team, who do you throw into them? Do you just throw Diablo and like Tychus or just Material or Arthas into it, or do you throw in maybe the Rainer if you're SMG?
What I like to do personally for these plants is I like to see who has the longest cooldown left on their ultimate. We see Diablo and Rhaegar both at 70 seconds, so I'd expect to see one of them in that plant terror. We know the Wildfire team is a little damage light, so it seems like a good idea to get that tank who's not contributing any meaningful damage and doesn't have an ult. Get him in there so he can actually contribute damage. Meanwhile, on the Symbiote team, Arthalon gets in there. Seems totally reasonable. He's Rainer. He's vulnerable.
Not level 16 yet, so.
Not level 16 yet. Yeah, you're absolutely right. So he doesn't contribute as much to a fight as that plant terror will. And we see both teams having mirrored plant terrors in the game, but Symbiote coming out with a few more seeds. It looks like Wildfire is actually going to catch up right here after they clean out that little camp. So both teams being really even here. Meanwhile, Arthalon has progressed to the top side fort, whereas Wildfire threatening that mid side fort.
And the push is coming right now, going super hard into that mid lane. Will they be able to take this fort or not? We do see that the top line is going to fall from Arthalon. Should have enough damage to where he can just start heading mid now. Will any kills be taken by SMG without their Rain or Poom? Going straight for that keep. It looks like it's going to be a keep for keep. Not much we can see going now. Big shock. Here comes the Tyrael. Diving straight in on the Pickles. Pickles immediately evaporates. Strafe coming down from Wargreymon doing a lot of damage to KO, but will it be enough? Malfurion trying to heal him up. Arthalon coming up from the back. Will the Polymorph land at the same time? Bims is caught off guard. Odin did fall. He does end up flying a 2-0 so far. Poom is about to lose his plant terror. Don't think they'll be able to secure the kill on Diablo. KO flies straight in though onto Wargreymon. Will he go secure the kill? He does not get the kill and ends up falling himself. So 2-for-1 now in favor of SMG. Will he be able to secure Poom? They're going for the chase. Nice root and polymorph onto that Diablo, preventing him from escaping. And they should be able to get a second fort, putting them at 3 forts taken this game.
Ooh. Arthalon trying to chase down Wargreymon. He's got the plant terror smacking that Vala, but the Caltrops just enough to allow her to get away. Now, that was a beautiful engage from Symbiote there. Despite being 45, they knew Wildfire wouldn't expect it, so they go all in with the Tyrael Judgment into Shockanda, and Malfurion actually contributed with that Twilight Dream, preventing Brightwing from doing anything to get out of that. Normally, Brightwings are so hard to pin down. With that Blink Heal, it's just so hard to focus fire down that Brightwing before they can escape. But the beautiful combination of the Tyrael Judgment into Twilight Dream means that there is nothing Brightwing can do. Just gets exploded. Handily wins that fight for Symbiote, despite a little bit of over-aggression and greed on KO's part, getting him killed.
Kills right now 12-3 in favor of SMG. Level 17, level 15. They do have that talent point advantage. Another team will be able to get another plant terror anytime soon, as the night did just end about 2.5 nights ago. I don't know. Do you know the exact timing on each plant night cycle?
I unfortunately do not.
Yeah,
it gets a little wonky with killing the plants and having a plant terror up. It's just hard to keep track of in-game. I'm sure somebody can do the math for us.
Someone get the spreadsheets out.
Get the spreadsheets. Get your stopwatch, click that timer. But I don't really think that Symbiote cares at this point. Like we talked about in the draft phase, it's just so hard for this Wildfire team to actually pick up kills on this tanky Symbiote team when they're damage light. And we see with Symbiote being ahead, I just don't see how Wildfire can possibly compete in these team fights, especially if they're head-to-head.
Yeah, we do see that Arthalon does now have that Executioner. So his damage is actually going through the roof at this point. Soldier having a constant slow on the enemies is just going to be huge for the team. We do actually have Wildfire going for a chase here. They're going straight into that Mad. He wants to take him out. He does get the Ice Block off immediately. As soon as that sign's going to get the silence, the Big shocking off. Apocalypse does land as well as the Bloodlust, but is it enough to secure kill? No, 2 people immediately fall. Pickles is getting knocked back. Great job using that smite from Dreadnought, and the chase is still happening. Will Iacona be able to get away? Bims is out at still full health on the Odin, but everyone on SMG is still full HP. Great use of that Ice Block from Mad to keep himself alive, and then healing his team up with the regrowth. And will SMG actually just be able to end off this?
Oh yeah, 5 for 5 against 2. Odin is down. There is no way. At 2 levels down, these 2 heroes cannot pull them off of the core in time to save them. They're even DPSing the tanks. That is not the way to go, guys. Hit those squishy DPS. But it would not have mattered. Bims, despite his efforts, just a futile fight against the Goliaths of Symbiote Gaming.
you saw the moments where Wildfire like had like a chance, but it's just when you look at teams like what we saw from Snowflake today, and you saw from SMG just all the time, they're just on a completely different level. It's just they're always together as a team. There's never these awkward moments where someone's getting caught off guard, or it's just SMG being SMG.
Yeah,
So we have our
just
finals,
another
man.
example. Yeah, just another example of the really clean play style from Symbiote. They beat the number 2 seed from Division 1 in a very, very convincing 2-0 best of 3. And, I mean, Symbiote just showing how dominant they are. We're going to see some epic games in these grand finals. But before that, guys, that is on Saturday. We have to do an interview here. We're going to be bringing you Mad Timmy from Symbiote. Okay.
Mad Timmy!
Mad Timmy from Symbiote is going to be joining us here in just a second, guys. Turn off that for a split second. Let me get him in the call here. Mad Timmy, where are you, buddy? Babyface and everything on Skype, guys. Give it a second to dial out. I hope he has a webcam. If not, I
He
changed scenes for
does.
nothing.
He does. I've seen his webcam before on this
Here we
very
go.
show with
Here we
you.
go. Wow. Wow. And you're telling me that I just don't remember that at all?
You don't.
Wow, I'm clearly awful at this.
Mad Timmy!
Mad Timmy, he's here, man. Welcome to the ECS.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, well, thank you. Now, another really convincing win there for Symbiote against Wildfire in that round of 4. Were you guys scared at all coming into this round of 4 of Wildfire, or did you guys feel like you just had it for sure?
Well, we did some research and looked at what kind of comps they ran and why they were winning so much. So basically, we knew Felstead and Malfurion were like 2 of the key characters in their comps. So we
Okay.
basically picked those highly so they couldn't have them. So their comps they wanted were kind of weak because of that.
Okay. Wow, so the first example I think we've seen in Heroes of a team actually strategizing against another team specifically. Good to see that showing up in these first best of 3s. Now,
Yeah.
you guys have had a dominant performance all ECS run. You're in the grand finals.
Mhm.
Your enemies, Snowflake, they looked really crisp in their semifinal round of 4 matches. How do you feel about the matchup between you and Snowflake? Do you have a history against this team? What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, we've played them quite a bit. Not recently, since like midway through the ECS, we haven't scrimmed them as much as we used to.
Okay.
But I feel like we're pretty confident against most teams. So as long as we can figure out what we want to ban and pick versus them, it shouldn't be a problem.
Okay. Soya, you have anything here for our buddy?
Let's just talk about the. I mean, you brought up earlier that you were sniping what they were comps were doing with the Malfurion pick. What specifically were you trying to lock down with the Malfurion? And we saw you utilizing the Ice Block and the Twilight Dream a lot in both matches.
Yeah,
what
yeah.
what were you specifically doing with the Malf?
Basically, they like Malfurion for Tranquility, and so basically they'll use like a super tanky comp with either Tyrael and another tank with Malfurion, and you just can't kill them because of
Okay.
the peels on the mouth. So as long as you take one of those things away, they can't really. That's kind of like what they do, like we have that aggressive play style, so it's kind of like countering what they want to do.
Do you think Malfurion is good, or were you just picking it strictly as a counter pick to their team?
He's good in certain comps. He's good against certain things. Like there's reasons Malf are good is he has Healing Ward and Twilight Dream, so you can have a silence and like basically a mini Tranquility with the Healing Ward.
Okay.
Plus he's hard to kill after 13 with the Ice Block. And then like there's reasons you want like Brightwing is for Emerald Wind, so there's kind of like pros and cons to every support. And I feel like they're all in a pretty equal field, except Lily. She's kind of weak.
Okay. We've seen a lot of people prioritizing Uther really highly. We saw him banned in both of these games. Is he actually, even with the other sports, you just don't want to play against
Yeah,
him
yeah.
specifically?
Yeah, a lot of teams I feel like they rely on Uther more than other teams just because they rely on his CC opposed to other supports that don't give as much. So I feel like it's more to like hurt their team comp and not just because he's a strong pick.
Oh, interesting. Okay, so you think people rely on that Uther as a crutch almost,
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
to enable their playmaking. All right, that's definitely an interesting perspective. Wow. Support player Matt Timmy here, bringing out the Uther hate. It sounds like.
Oh no.
Well, what can I say? Clearly, you guys have something right. I don't know if it's your draft evaluations or your play buddy, but so good to see Symbiote so dominant in their performances in ECS, just showing where you belong in that Seed 1 of Division 2. Before we let you go, man, any shout-outs you would like to make?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Teammates, etc.
At Symbiote Gaming is our Twitter. Definitely follow us on there. You'll see when all of our matches are live. And you also can follow me on Twitter at AVA Forevers. You also can search Matt Timmy. And shout out to my teammates for being awesome.
Well, thanks for coming on, man. Great games, and can't wait to see you in the grand finals.
All right, thanks for having